Howdy, hey, hello, it's McKenna, and this is Munch and Mingle. Hello, everyone. I hope you have had a great weekend and now a great week planned before you on this happy Monday. This week, in our family, it is birthday palooza. What that means is today we've got the twin uncles' birthday, Uncle Joshua and Noah. These are Britt's brothers. Tomorrow we have Ginger's birthday, which is my sister. Oh, and all three of these people have been on the podcast, so definitely go find their episodes. And then our baby boy, oh my gosh, he's turning 2 this weekend, y'all. As well as it's also our anniversary. Great little day. We'll be hitting 7 years married. Way to go, Britt. Love that for us. And then next Monday will be both Britton's birthday and our niece Navy's birthday. So big week, big next 7 days. I'm so excited because I love birthdays. I love getting to celebrate with whoever for whatever reason. And the best thing is now our boys love birthdays too. So I've got this little celebration gang to like hype up everyone. It's so much fun. Also, I'm currently recording this the night before it airs and everyone's asleep. So I'm trying to be as quiet as I can. Britt's asleep on the other side of this door. But you know, today it was filled with so much. We had church, I had meetings, and then we had a mini family birthday party. So it's just been a whirlwind. And I was like, I could wake up early, but I have a feeling it's just not going to be all put together. And I really want to stay on track of getting these out every week. So here we are. Today, we are going through Sister Kristen Yee's talk, ministering that ye love one another as I have loved you. Now, if y'all remember last week, I said how there were certain things I have been seeking for, and I was really hoping for a talk to hit one or all of those things on the head. And the same thing happened again this week. We had different things that we were facing. Britt and I are in the middle of a lot of decisions for our family, our lifestyle, way of living, our boys, their lives, a baby girl on the way. And on top of that, I've got decisions to make regarding my calling, different cases and scenarios at church with primary and so on and so on. But so much of this that I am quite literally having decision fatigue, as well as my plate is just full fatigue. So how do you think I felt when I saw the topic of this week's talks, being on ministering? I am so sad, y'all, to admit that I was not, how do we say, rejoicing, if that's the best way to put it. I already was just saying in my head, I don't have time. Heavenly Father, I do not have time for one more thing to be decided on or one more thing that has to be done. And yet here we are, and I have to go talk about on my podcast about ministering. And I am not even I'm not doing it as much as like I know my assignments. I know the girls who I'm assigned to, but I don't feel like I've done what I'm supposed to be doing when it comes to ministering as far as that is. Yet, just like last week, I was open to what the Spirit wanted to tell me, and I gave it a chance. And it has been very interesting to see what I ended up seeing and hearing on the opposite side of this. And I'm really excited to hear if any of you have that same thing after this week, after you go through this talk. And I would love to hear about that. So definitely make sure you're letting me know. It just helps me realize I might not be the only one going through this. Before we get into the talk, of course, we got to dive a little into Sister Yee's background. First things first, she grew up in Sacramento, California. But the real cool thing is she and her family ended up moving because her mom felt it best to raise, and I'm just reading this from the biography, felt it best to raise her 5 kids in a more rural environment. That environment being Burley, Idaho. Now, Burley has a very special place in my heart because it is the hometown of one of my bestest friends, Shuffle, of course, not her real name. Still working to get her on the pod, but real quick, we were roommates for about 4 years. Yeah, 4 years before we both went off and got married. But one of those years, she took me home for Easter in Burley, Idaho. So I was able to spend a whole weekend there. And y'all, it is definitely rural. Very small town, very old feeling, but really cool because it was like super close knit and loads of what I felt were like generations there. Like Shuffle's family, her grandma lives there. And her mom, obviously, parents live there. I think they just moved somewhere else in Idaho. But like, that's 3 generations right there who all lived in Burley. And I wouldn't be shocked if her grandma's or grandpa's family were there too. I feel like they were. But anyway, it was just really cool to see that Sister Yee also grew up there. And from what I am telling, great stock from Burley. So shout out to anyone else from Burley. In the beginning of her biography, though, she talks about witnessing the power of ministering through her mom, which I'm just like, this woman has seen so much when it comes to ministering, as we'll get into her talk. But it says that she would be in the back of her mom's station wagon with her siblings, and they would watch or help their mom as she would listen, talk, teach, cook, clean, and care for others and their children. And I just think it's so interesting but remarkable that Sister Yee has been so impacted by ministering, not just from like the church body, from her callings, but from witnessing it early on in her own life and growing up. And I don't think it's any coincidence. Like, clearly the message that she gives and talks about ministering hits so much more when you get to know, like, this has been involved in her life for a while. And it's the perfect segue into her conference talk. So she starts off talking about her father and how there were 2 ministering brothers who ministered to her father. And one of those brothers invited her dad to come to the temple with him and his wife, and he accepted. And this tradition continued for, they say, 3 years. And during the time these brothers were ministering to Sister Yee's father, she noticed how her father changed and became more attentive to the needs of others. Now, this is what really got me, is how being looked after turned Brother Yee into someone who also looked after others. It was like a chain reaction. Now, I don't know about you. I think ministering is a great idea. I am all on board with it. Yet when I think about ministering and I look at it as what I see it as, I guess I should say, is, okay, if I'm going to go minister, then I need to sit down, I need to make a plan, and I need to decide, how do I get involved this month with my sisters? It's very hard for me to just drop something and just be like, oh, I'll just go do this or I'll go do that. I don't know why. And it's probably, is that my type A personality? Is that it? Where I have to have a plan, right? So before you know it, I'm already exhausted in my head of trying to make up these plans and ideas, and nothing has happened. And with everything going on right now during the pregnancy, like we talked about a couple episodes, y'all, it is very hard for me to like make these plans. And I'm already having such decision fatigue that I'm not putting it on the front burner, because it's another thing that I'm like, I don't have the capacity to think this through. So this week, I would listen to Sister Yee's talk over and over again, and I kept hitting the same wall of, I don't have time, I don't have energy, I don't know how I can do this. And this is another prime reason why I love listening to a single conference talk during the weekend, because then you're really focused on it, but more times than not, things pop up, like other podcasts or other conversations around me that pertain to that talk. And they usually fill in gaps or blind spot that I'm missing. And it's almost like the Spirit's like nudging me, like, hey, did you get that? Hey, I hear you. So are you hearing this? So in this case, what happened for me, it was actually 2 different podcasts that kind of perked my ears a little. One of them was a financial podcast, of all the things. And the second one was it was a church podcast. The first one, they were reacting to some TikToks, but it was a girl who was saying like, we are out with the new and in with the old. A lot of people are getting tired of where we are at in our lives in this world and are wanting to go back to simpler times. So she just started going through like, we're not doing this anymore. We're going back to the old on this. So she's giving various reasons of that, or examples. And one of the examples was, we are not going to listen anymore to the world news or check our phones for the news. Instead, we are going to get with our neighbors and we're going to ask them about their lives and get involved with what is going on in their world. And once again, build back our small communities, our small villages. And that one I heard it and I was like, oh, that sounds so great. Because if you think about it, guys, at least in my age range, when this was happening, before a lot of us were getting a lot of our information at our fingertips, this is what was happening. Our parents knew our neighbors. We were growing up with that for the most part. And then it started to transition. So now that we are adults, that we are living on our own, that we have neighbors, it's so foreign because we are so focused on the big picture, the big screen, what's happening in the world, not what's happening right next door or right around us, right? And I'll be for real. I mean, it does sound so great in theory, but it is daunting because if everyone isn't on board, it doesn't feel like it's going to work. But then I realized the more as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, it literally takes one person to say hi. We can do that. I can do that. Or better yet, it takes one person to go drop off a loaf of extra bread that we had just made. I was already making them. I might as well realize I just have this extra one. I could just go drop it off next door. Who's going to say no to homemade bread? I mean, come on. And that's kind of what I feel like we've started to do. And that's where my mind started going like, well, okay, I know my ministering isn't only limited to those who I'm assigned to. And even if I start somewhere, according to Sister Yee's talk, it will just help me to branch out if I'm struggling with like, how do I connect with these sisters that I minister to if I don't really know them? Well, if I just start with the neighbor or someone in a close vicinity around me, as long as I'm getting on the right track of like, I want to say being nice, being neighborly, I think it will just start to overfill into those other areas. At least that's what I'm getting. So that's kind of what I've started saying this week is, okay, are you talking to your neighbor? Are we saying hi to those people in our neighborhood? And thank heavens we have a great family who has received us reaching out to them next door. And that has kind of been my first realization and suggestion to you. If you are struggling with ministering to those who you are assigned to for whatever reason, like I just said, if you don't know them or they don't live as close by, let's minister to those who are in that vicinity. I think I just said the same thing twice again, but I'm just trying to make sure it makes sense all in my head. And as I'm saying out to you, let's start somewhere rather than nowhere, which now leads into the second podcast. And this is what really, really got me. It's a fave of mine. I've referenced it before. It's Stephen Jones, Let's Get Real podcast. And the guest who he was talking to this week, can't even remember his name right now. I'll link it below. They weren't even talking about ministering, and yet it perfectly synced with ministering. Like I said, Spirit over there like, hey, there you go. So the guest was making a point about the adversary wanting to get us on his team. But there are just some people who won't even, it's like they won't come to play for his team. Like their obedience against the adversary is just too strong. So instead, he benches them. Now you think that's great. But if I've learned anything in sports talk and in reality, if you're benched, yes, you might not be playing in the actual game, but you're still on that team. And that was the point of that this guest was making. If Satan knows he's not going to get you to actively sin or actively participate alongside him, he then instead goes to, well, let's just have you do nothing. And that by doing nothing here and by me benching you here, you're not actively playing on the Lord's team. So in all essence, Satan is still winning. And that was it. That was like the final tipping point to wake me up, y'all, is wait a minute. Ministering might be so much more. All of a sudden, Sister Yee's talk is just coming alive. And I realized, McKenna, what have they been trying to tell you for years? It has never been about the check mark. We don't want it to be about the check mark for ministering. The real reason behind why we reach out to others is that chain reaction of I love the Savior, therefore I love my neighbors. And by loving my neighbors, that too can help them feel the love of Christ so that they also want to go and love others. It's a never-ending cycle. It's so obvious, yet it hits in different things. Like I said, I've been in such this fog of, I hate to say it, me is what it's been feeling like. And to get this realization is just help me see, okay, the more I come out of this me phase and look to others, more times than not, they're actually going to help with certain things. And that is what happened. There was a word activity that we just had this last weekend, and it was a swap meet. And of course, all the moms were there. It was a really fun activity. Basically, everyone got to come bring all their stuff that they're like wanting to donate. They go put it all together in the cultural hall, and then you get to come look at it and see if there's anything there. Oh, another great chain reaction. What can I give to you that I don't need, but you need? So it was funny because it was like me and all the moms. I think everyone was invited. The Relief Society was putting it on, but of course, all the moms were there. I'm shopping for all baby girl clothes. And it was very interesting. By going to this, I was talking to different people just because, we start talking about, oh, well, you're here at the baby girl's clothes table. What are you looking for? And, just start talking to different people. And it was interesting because through different conversations that I was having with different people, not knowing any of these big decisions Britton and I are having to go through, prayers are getting answered for me. Questions that I've been seeking are just being talked about around me. Women that have no idea what we're going through are just saying things. They're like, hey, I have had this experience, or we've done this. And it's like, wait a minute, I didn't even know that was an option. And now that's something I can bring to the table to help this decision fatigue. I'm so sorry. I'm being so vague. There's so much. And all of this to say like, oh my gosh, it just opened my eyes. Like, this is why we minister. This is why we talk to people. This is why we be around each other. Because more times than not, what if you are the answer to a question someone's needing, or just an idea or a thought? And that's what this is. As we are loving others, we are looking for ways to bless and help others, to be that answered prayer. We are then playing on the Lord's side. Right before getting ready to record this episode, a video came up on my YouTube, and it was Jeffrey R. Holland's famous talk, The First Commandment. And this is when he tells that great story about the Savior reappearing to Peter back on the water. And Elder Holland brings up a lot of great points, but one of them being how he can see the Lord asking the same thing in the story that he did to Peter to us one day when we stand before him. And that question being, do you love me? Or better yet, and I guess in this case, did you love me? I think a clear way of showing that love and loyalty to the Lord is how we did treat our neighbors, how we treated those who we are assigned to minister, those not just in our church body, but those around us in our everyday lives, whether it's at work, school, just in our complex of where we live. I realize I should not only be tied to those I'm assigned to, but I also shouldn't exclude those I'm assigned to either. There's a reason we have certain people we are assigned to. And I believe the more we work alongside the Lord on these assignments, whether it's an actual physical ministering assignment or if it's an assignment the Lord has made, it will be made clear to us why they need us and we need them. And sorry, I guess I should say all of those assignments are made by the Lord, but I mean like in our other daily lives outside of church. I've never thought of it that way until just now. Like, what if there are other assignments too outside of our ministering assignments? The whole point being, it will be made clear to us why they needed us and we needed them. I'm sorry, y'all. That one, I rambled a little bit. I was trying to pull everything together as it's like 10:40 and I'm like, we got to go to bed. But I'm so excited for you guys to go through this talk. If you don't have ministering assignments, go ask your Relief Society president, your Elders Quorum president, or even make your own for the time being. Pray to the Lord who is in your circle that you can minister to. I know you will be blessed as we do. I truly have felt that confirmation, and don't worry, I am reaching out to my ministering sisters. I saw one this weekend, so I already was on that, and the other one was sick today, so I did notice that. So it's a work in progress, but I hope you all have a great week. Again, please let me know your thoughts and or experiences you have this week. Text or email me. That information is below in the little information box. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Bye.